Welcome to Recovering Addict. I am LT, and I am indeed an alcoholic and an addict.
Hello, I'm Felice Weaver, your co-host for this evening. Not an alcoholic addict, but I do love one, and I'm here if y'all have questions.
So you might be wondering, LT, you're an alcoholic and an addict. What's the difference? I'll tell you the truth, I don't see one. Not much of a difference there at all. But 2 times in my life, I was addicted to the point of hitting rock bottom. Back in the early 2000s, I was a meth addict, tweaker, homeless, committed a second-degree felony burglary, ended up getting locked up, all that good stuff. So yes, I'm a felon. I got clean from that, got scared straight from meth. Excuse me. And then in my early 30s, I thought, alcohol tastes good. I drank and I partied back in the day, but I was an adult now and I'm in my 30s. And so I started hanging out and drinking at barbecues. Little did I know that I was an alcoholic because I'm an addict. And that straight turned into a 5th a night drinking to the point where I had to detox. I had to go to a freaking hospital so I didn't die by quitting drinking because I was drinking so much. And then I did 5 months in an intense outpatient program where I completed all the way up to step 5 before I transitioned. I'm currently continuing care and continuing my education with sobriety. I have a counselor. I still go to group therapy. Once this COVID thing is all wrapped up and done, I'm going to actually be able to meet face to face and not have to rely on Zoom meetings. But hey, that's me. That is me. So we got hanging out with us. You got Dave Miller in the house.
Do you want to see me in a nutshell?
Don't. I know you're going with that. This is me in a nutshell.
I'm in a nutshell.
Hey, Sky, welcome. Aaron, a pleasure as always. Megan, what's going on, Megan? Welcome to the show. Alicia. Carla, that's a new face, I think.
Carla, looking
Blanchard,
beautiful.
Good evening. I'm glad you're here. Michael Teeter.
What up,
There's
Mike?
a man that's actually working the program and inspiring people. Proud of that guy. We got Aaron, as always, like I just said.
Hi,
I hate
Aaron.
Aaron like probably 12 times.
Aaron.
Polly,
Aaron.
that's my
Aaron.
brother right there,
Aaron,
for
hi.
reals. That's a guy I can call and trust.
Hi, Polly.
And he's a good buddy of mine, for reals. Sky, we said hello to Sky. Petey. Glad you're here tonight too, Petey. I love your comments and stuff on the Facebook. Love it, love it, love it. And there's my beautiful mommy.
Hey,
Hi,
Ma.
Mom. And there's Chad. There's another guy working his program. He's doing the thing. Yeah, how do you like that? We got her. Somebody said get Felice's name tag up there, so that's what we did.
Now I'm official.
Mine looks better though.
No.
What's up, Tony? Welcome, brother.
It's funny they're on opposite sides, though. I never noticed that before.
Patrick. How you doing, Patrick? Marilyn, how are you doing today? We are doing
Marilyn.
great. We're doing great because it's Thursday, and that means we don't have to work for another 3 days. And oh my goodness, was I tired today. If y'all been taking inventory with me every day on the show, I don't know if you've been like concentrating on your inventory during the day, but my goodness, some things happened to me today that I was like, no, you're messing up my inventory.
You're making it go higher.
You're making me ruin. It's like golfing. I feel like I hit into the weeds or something and into a freaking sand pit. I'm like, damn it, there's 3 more strokes.
That's how I play disc golf.
I love disc golf. Simon, right on. Glad you're here, brother. There's Merc.
Hey, Mark.
I all of a sudden feel that Jedi power when I see Merc. I hate Star Wars, by the way, but Merc has that power.
Star Wars is classic.
She loves Star Wars. I don't like Star
Good
Wars.
stuff.
Ingrid, nice to meet you.
Hey, boo-boo.
Glad you're here. Very glad you're here. Ingrid, if you don't know what we do is we do this every night at 8 o'clock. This is a channel dedicated to recovery from alcohol and addiction. We want to help somebody come off of drugs, okay? That's the first part, right? And then once we get clean and sober, we can go through the 12 steps. We're currently working through a book called The Steps We Took. We're on chapter 4, working and looking at step 4. We're going to finish that tonight. And I want to concentrate on relapse prevention because you can work the 12 steps. You can go to an IOP program or an inpatient program. And then what? We got to continue our education and recovery. We got to put as much energy into our recovery as we did our addiction, because it's a lifelong thing. If you drink every single day for a few years, you did drugs every single day, all the energy you put into your addiction needs to now be put into recovery, and it's for the better. Thank God for recovery. Thank God for AA. Thank God for learning the tools we need to actually stay abstinent from drugs and alcohol. Because you might need the maintenance medication for a while, and that's good. You do whatever you got to do. Your recovery is your recovery. No judgment, no nothing. But we have the tools at our disposal. I'm not talking about me and her. I'm talking about us. We have the tools at our disposal through AA and NA and all these programs to eventually become completely abstinent from drugs and alcohol and actually be a better person, because we're going to understand, oh, it was up here. It's not drugs and alcohol. That's not the problem. We're the problem. Alan.
I've been working on my games, Alan. Can't tell, but they're there.
Look at him recovering. Heck yeah. Awesome recovery. Loving it. Where are we at? We got Tony. We said what's up to Tony. Sapper 49. What's up, man? So glad Simon's here. He's up late, but I'm glad he's here. I lost the comments. There they went. Everyone beat me to it. Hello, everybody. How's it going? How you doing? Healthy, please don't try to do my accent. It's almost impossible to. Oh, please. Oh, like you got some accent that can't be done. Whatever.
He said something the other day. I was like, you've been talking to Polly too much.
I jumped off the table and I was a little hot-headed and I said the F word a few times. And she's like, you've been talking to Polly? You sound like you're from Philly.
It was funny.
Sounds like I got your accent down there, cuz. Hey, Link, can you grab me a glass of water? See, I got it. Just kidding, Polly. I know how awesome that accent is.
Yes. Now you all know how to spell my name correctly.
Oh, I didn't think about that benefit. Hey, everybody. Links in the chat saying what's up. I just
Tracy.
see John. Yep, there's John. Right on.
John and
here.
Tracy.
Marcus is in the house. Right on. Just keep swimming. We said hi to Alicia. If not, again, hi, Alicia. So I didn't really want to work recovery today. I'm just feeling frustrated and tired, but I realized it. When you don't want to, you better, good call. And you know what? And on besides outside forces testing my character defects and causing me to score higher on my inventory, I didn't sleep very much last night, and the sleep that I got was crap. So I woke up, I was pretty much half asleep all day. So in the back of my mind, I kept replaying the tool HALT, halt, right? Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. No, I was joking, buddy. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And I was just that. I wasn't really hungry. I was angry because I was tired. Well, lonely, maybe feeling that way just because I wanted to be alone. But yeah, so hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Am I one of those four? If I am, suppress, just, bite your tongue. Don't rack out. You might get that feeling of anger like I did today. Linky.
The top of your hat's blue. Or the under top.
What's up, Murd?
Hey, Murd.
Welcome. Glad you're here too, brother. How you feeling? How you doing? You hanging in there? I hope so. I know you are, though. You're a strong dude. Jump, little doggy. All right, he's back.
Hey, I'm glad you're back.
He's a guy with the Al-Anon jokes. Anybody see his Al-Anon joke in the comment?
Hey, there's that sober dude.
Oh, sober dude showed up. Sweet. We just saw this guy over in Sober James's channel. I'm glad you're here. I saw your channel. I subscribed, and I'm going to be checking it out later. And I'll go through all your videos and see what's up. Yeah, I did. I reached out to James. I was searching the internet. I'm like, man, there's got to be other channels that do the sobriety thing. And out of all the channels I kept going across, Sober James was by far my favorite and by far the most well done. So I was like, I got to bug this dude. And I don't know how to get there, but I'm going to keep bugging him. And I hit him up on his Instagram. I'm like, yo, what's up, dog? And he was like, yeah, whatever, peasant. Go away. So I just kept sweet talking him until finally he's like, send me some videos, freak. And so I did. I sent him those 3 videos, and you guys got to go back and watch, because I sent those 3. He filled in the gaps, and then he made a really good video. James is a really talented dude, man. Glad that we have a partnership in sobriety, because that's 2 different types of personalities, 2 different experiences. You all get to come see some quality footage, and we can all just build this huge community. And who knows where this is going to go in 10 months, 5 years, 10 years. It's going to be amazing.
I'll find that video.
Thanks for liking my intro.
Post it.
Oh yeah, you guys. Everybody listen to Simon. Smash that like button. Real quick, everybody on the count of 3, just boop, just hit the like. It won't even make a noise. You just touch it.
That'd be cool if it said boop.
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 So I guess I had to catch everybody up. Oh, sweet. We got a Patreon too. If you're feeling froggy, we have a Patreon too. No, I'm just kidding. I want my Patreon to grow through somebody that feels led by power greater than them to be a part of something greater than them. So with Luma Fusion, what is that? Practicing editing. What do you use to edit? I'm an Adobe guy. I use Premiere Pro and all that kind of stuff. Murd, says he was doing his mental inventory, cleaning his room and all that good stuff. Good. Mental inventory. Did you write it down? I hope you guys are writing this stuff down. Let's do a little recap on what we did yesterday. Well, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. Hey, slow down, pal.
He's just so excited.
I'm so excited right now. You guys
make him so happy. Hi, Cassie.
I love it when you guys are here. Cassie, what's up, cuz? All right, so here's the AA thought of the day. It is very important to keep in a grateful frame of mind if we want to stay sober. We should be grateful that we are living in a day and an age when alcoholics aren't treated as often as they often used to be treated before Alcoholics Anonymous was started. In the old days, every town had its drunk, who was regarded with scorn and ridiculed by the rest of the townspeople. We have come into AA and found all the sympathy, understanding, and fellowship that we could ask for. There is no other group like AA in the world. And here's the question. Am I grateful? I don't know if y'all were on the Facebook page. I know some of you saw it, but I said I was grateful for an electric stapler. And I really was. I had a stack of paper this big, and you thumb through about 3, and you staple it, thumb through about another 2, 3, staple them. And I looked over at my hand stapler, and I was like, ooh, if I had to use that and this wasn't here. I looked at that little guy, and I was like, I am grateful for you, little buddy.
I love you.
He just looked at me and bit another piece of paper. It was amazing. Grateful for the little things. Start small. Look at the little tiny things in your life when you're looking for gratitude. I like to try to think when I get out of bed. Oh man, nah, that's a story for later. But just warm water to wash your face with. A blanket. You got a window that's open with a nice house over your head, you know. Just the small things. The small things. You're breathing fresh, clean air. You get to walk up to a sink and take a drink of water. You know what I mean? Our grandparents didn't have that. Our grandparents' grandparents didn't have that. The struggles they had. What was somebody saying? We were listening to, I think I was listening to a podcast, and it was talking about look at the stuff in your house and add up how much time it saves you compared to what your grandparents' parents, your great-grandparents had to do. So you look at the dishwasher and you write down, well, that just saved me 45 minutes. You look at the stove, and you don't have to go get wood, chop wood, and light a fire to make your stove hot. Well, that just saved me 4 hours. You look at your fridge and it just keeps stuff cold. You don't have to worry about it. You look at the washing machine, add up all the stuff around you, the toaster, the coffee maker, all the little stuff that we have in your house. Write down all the time it saves you and look at how much more time you have than your grandparents. And then look at all the stuff your grandparents and your great grandparents accomplished. And then ask yourself, what the hell am I doing?
Whatever I want.
You know what I mean?
Link, you don't have COVID.
Yeah, I'd be grateful for that.
Grateful.
Good job, Linky. Thank you. All right, here's the meditation of the day. God takes our efforts for the good and blesses them. God needs our efforts. We need God's blessings. Together, they mean spiritual success. Our efforts are necessary. We cannot merely relax and drift with the tide. We must often direct our efforts against the tide of materialism around us. When difficulties come, our efforts are needed to surmount them. But God directs our efforts into the right channels, and God's power is necessary to help us choose the right. And here is the prayer of the day. I pray that I may choose the right. I pray that I may have God's blessing and direction in all my efforts for good. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Too blessed, not too cursed.
Yeah.
I like you.
Yeah. All right. Anything anybody wants to talk about on anybody's mind? Anybody mind?
Get you some coffee, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget about
coffee.
Lisa's Real Spill. Merc, thank you for the reminders. And we got Nicole at the Real Talk. Hit them up too, man. There's a huge community growing right now.
Hi, Holly. Glad you're here.
Where's Holly? Woohoo! Holly, how you doing? You hanging in there? You sober? You sober? Good. I hope so. If you want, I'll send you a link. You can pop in at 8:30 and tell us what's up.
Yeah, it's been a while since we heard from you, Holly. Be nice to hear your voice.
Thank you, Cassie.
Jen R.
Look, you made Michael Teeter want some coffee.
All we have is half calf, but seems to be doing the job. Should I tell them the story about your mom?
No, they wouldn't get it.
Everybody gets that story.
No, and you tell the story.
No, I'm terrible at telling stories. Try and listen to me
What's
explain
up,
a
Aubrey?
movie.
I'm
The
at
worst.
work. Oh, man, tomorrow sucks. Just kidding. That's good. You get to go to work. It's a blessing, right? Sober, yes. Good job, Holly. Proud of you. So Tony says, thank you. It feels great to start to cook again and eat a lot more. Oh, yeah. My stomach was wrecked when I was on alcohol because I was drinking a fifth a night and I would wake up. So I would pass out and fumble and stumble to the fridge about midnight and just just whatever's in there, I'm grabbing, wake up and crap all over me. Then I'd wake up in the morning, just stomach just hurt, and I'd try to eat a lunch or I would just take a couple bites, and the only thing I could do is drink coffee. And by the time I started feeling better, I was at the liquor store buying more whiskey, so it was just this constant whiskey, man. My doctor told me, you need to quit drinking like right now if you want to live another 10 years. You want to see your kids grow up, you better quit drinking now. And so I actually went to the doctor Tuesday or Monday, one of those days. But I went to my doctor's appointment and I said, hey, I just want to tell you thank you for being a part of my story and saving my life because of the pep talk and speech, actually the ass chewing he gave me was one of the seeds planted that I needed to quit. I was I was killing myself. That's all you're doing when you're who was I talking to the other day on the phone? He's like, yeah, when I met this person, the only thing that they were bragging about when we would go out and hang out is how much more they could drink than me. And he's not an addict or an alcoholic or nothing. And he was like, oh, you can take more poison than me. Like, that's really something to be proud about. How dumb were we? That was me. I was like, I could drink you under the table. And I could too, but stupid. Who's got 6 months?
That sober dude.
Sober dude, that's 6 months. You have 6 months today or just 6 months total? How many days is 6 months? 90? 30, 60, 90 days? Is 90 days 6 months? 3, 6, 9, 3, 6.
180.
180, huh? Did I have it 180?
I think you might have stopped at 90.
I think I did stop at 90. Dang it. Oh, well.
Thanks, Chad.
What do you say?
180.
Thanks, Chad. I'm not the smartest of fellas here.
Aubrey, half calf coffee is like half measures of Bell. It's nothing, bro.
That's so true. That's how I feel right now.
But it doesn't make my stomach hurt.
I was so tired on the way home, and I was like, man, I need to stop and get some coffee. All we got's that half calf crap. Oh, I'm too tired. So now I'm pounding it. Like if I had beer instead of whiskey, I'm pounding it. Because I'm an addict. That's what I'm doing. Andrew, welcome. Glad you're here.
Denise.
We are doing good.
Hey,
we
so
are
your
doing
house.
wonderful. Denise is in the house. 90 days is 3 months. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Holly.
We can't do math.
Quit putting me on the spot.
Brain can't function.
All right. Did we do everything we needed to do? Did we read all the stuff I wanted to read before we jump into this book? Who remembers what we've been talking about on chapter 4? Step 4. What is the main purpose of what we are trying to do here? And I gave out some examples and all that kind of good stuff. So step 4 is we're making a searching and fearless moral inventory, right? Step 3, we made a decision, but that's not action. So now we're going to make action. So how do we produce this action to turn our will into our lives over to God as we have cast just enough to piss you off? Yeah, no doubt. Golden Girls, you know it, Ingrid. Yeah.
I can't remember where I got it.
I like that
Probably
name.
Walmart. No, Smith's. I got it from Smith's.
To learn to take inventory of other. Aubrey, smack yourself right now. Right in the face. Just one good, just not too hard, just enough to wake you up.
Hi, Emily.
Emily in the house? Oh, yeah. Hey, thanks for your support, Emily. I really appreciate that. You're on the list. Started working again, huh? Sober and happy. Hope you're all doing wonderful. Good.
Oh, you can't see her.
What a blessing. Seems like everybody's in a
blank.
really positive attitude or positive frame of mind today.
Because it's almost.
She saw Blanche.
There they are.
Yeah, sober
That's
dude.
my
Good job,
squad.
brother.
Mm.
You can't. You can't.
Okay, you can read now.
All right, where was I? Oh yeah, we're recapping step 4.
It
Let's go
hurts
through
when
a
I
couple
hit
of the things.
myself. Supposed to, Aubrey.
Let me see. We're looking at our lives, right? We're looking at our mind and our physical health, our spiritual health as a business, right? We want to take personal inventory of this business because an unsuccessful business, a business that fails, does not take inventory. We want to treat our bodies, our minds, and our spirits the same way. We want to take personal inventory and see where we're at and correct any of the wrongs in there. And how do we do that? We learned that we have to find the exact root cause of the problem. Do you guys remember the whole root cause, the 5 whys? Because you could be trying to solve the wrong problem. And if you're trying to solve the wrong problem, because here's the problem, right? And you're like, well, this is the cause of that problem, but really this isn't the cause, and you're wasting your time and energy. You're wasting your time and energy. So you ask another why, and you keep asking why until you get down to the root cause, which is actually the solution once you fix this to the problem. And that is the emphasis. That's what we need to strive for, is the root cause of the problem. I'm going to read this paragraph to remind us of looking for that root cause. We got to analyze. We got to get to the root cause. A resentment, looking at resentments, right? There's wrong judgment, which equals resentment. You got wrong believing, which equals fears. And you got wrong actions, which is harms done to others. So a resentment is a wrong because it blocks you from God, but it isn't what you really started it. In step 5, we talk about the exact nature. So when you're talking about step 5, what is the exact nature of your wrongs? That's the root cause. And so we are trying to find the root cause of all the resentment that's built up inside us. Some people advise that it's good to vent and to let resentments out. But unless we get to the root cause of the resentment, we have only made room for the next resentment to come in by expressing ourselves. And now this kind of venting may make us feel good for a while, but if we don't get to the root cause of a wrong judgment, we will soon have another resentment take its place, and then the one we just expressed will still be there. Gotta solve the right problem. And that's what step 4 is all about. So we're treating our body like a business. We're treating our mind, our body, and our spirit like a business. We're taking personal inventory. And now we have to understand these resentments, these past wrongs done to us, or what we've done to others, is all built up, and it's caused these character defects in our minds, and it's led to our using, right? It's our wrongs. It's our sin nature. It's everything we were going to ask God in step 6 and 7 to remove. And that's what we need to get to the bottom of. And the rest of this chapter is going to teach us how to do just that. And that's what we're hunting for. We're analyzing the truth. We are like detectives at a crime scene, he says. We're going to go over the evidence at the scene and try to put the physical evidence together and analyze it and see if we can tell what we have. So with the resentment, for example, the crime in this case, wrong is the resentment. And we want to get to the cause of the resentment, and that's the cause of the resentment. The evidence is the name of the person that we have resentment towards. The most visible thing that we can see, the most vivid thing, is the name of the person who offended us. So we start by listing the person's name. So we have resentments. The first thing you're going to do is think of the person you resent. That's the easiest, most simple way to start with the first piece of evidence as we start to trace this down to our root cause of the problem. So who's the first person you think? You don't have to put it in the comments, but just think about this. And then I'm going to show you a couple examples that'll help. I'll tie this together here towards the end. But the first person that comes to mind, boom, I resent this person. Bam, write that name down. So we keep our minds on this predominant thought. We list all the names or institutions or principles for whom we have resentments. We make this list before we add anything about the resentment. So that's the first thing you want to do, is just gather that first preliminary, resentment towards this person, resentment towards this place, screw work, or screw gels and POs, the establishment. Just write down what you resent. What am I resenting? First thing you do. We write down just the names of all the people or the things we have resentments against, and we do this in the left column. If you have this book, you're going to get, and you can actually just Google fourth step or worksheet, and it'll give you something like light's too bright on there, but you can kind of see that right there. But it's going to give you columns, and you'll be able to write stuff down and check it. I highly suggest you go Google it and get you a worksheet. I'm going to give you a good example of it because I had to read this a few times today. I almost skipped going through this tonight because I didn't feel prepared enough, because there's one important question at the end that was bugging me. And I'll get to that question at the end, and you may have the same question. But we'll get to that. So now we're getting into these columns, right? So the first thing we're doing is writing down the resentments. That's the first column we're filling up. But a mistake a lot of people make here is trying to take a list of the person's name and then going across. So they'll take the person's name and then they'll go across and say, oh, why am I resenting this person? And then they go into the reasons, what was affected. Was it my social security, sexual, or ambitious instincts? And that gets your mind going in too many different directions. So we start with the first column, and we just go through that with each person's name or institution. Just stick with the first column one at a time, and then move on to the next one and go through that list again. So you can kind of keep your mind in the same place as you go through this. What are you looking at?
I was going to try and look up that sheet and maybe put a link. What's that sheet called? Just
put step 4 worksheet, and then go to images. But I have one right here that I'll show you guys in a minute. It's very simple. Did you catch that flash? Huh? They didn't catch it. They didn't catch it. You didn't see it. All right. So it is simple. We ask first, who are the people and the things that I resent? Pretty simple list. We've finished making this list. We go on to the next column and then on to the next most vivid thing in our memory. What did he or she or it do to me? We don't usually have any trouble remembering this either. Besides each name in the second column, we put down the cause associated with that person or thing. What's that?
Joe and Charlie Big Book Study 4-step guide. Mm-hmm. That goes right with your book. Oh. They're like a whole worksheet thing.
Yeah, I got another book that goes with it.
That's cool. Sorry.
Squirrel.
I got distracted. This is cool.
All right. We don't usually have any trouble remembering these either. Besides each name, we read that in the column. We put down the cause associated with that person or thing. These are very vivid. Everyone readily remembers them. Some of them we have been replaying in our minds over and over for years and years, and we know what they are. We put all these down from top to bottom. So when you think in the past, you have people you resent, and they're easy to remember. Write them down. Remember how important it was to write it down in your own handwriting? We went through that a couple shows ago, the importance of writing it down. If you think you're just going to take a mental inventory and just think through the column without writing it down, this book emphasizes. I want to read his exact words because I love what he said. Just got to find it. It says, if you do not go to the trouble to write it down, you haven't taken inventory. So if you think just by looking at the columns of the worksheet and kind of just, thinking through it, you haven't done it. You're not doing it. It's not done, period. You're not ready for step 5. If you're going to take it seriously, if you're going to take recovery as seriously as you took your addiction, you're going to grab a pen and a paper. You're going to tell people to leave you alone for an hour, and you're going to get serious and honest with yourself. That's step 4. It has to be done. If you don't do if you don't do any of this thoroughly and honestly, the chances of relapse are very, very. Read How It Works, chapter 5 in the big book, because rarely have they seen anybody fail. And I heard that word rarely was changed to rarely, but it was originally written never. Never have we seen a person fail. And that talks about how honest you have to be. If you're honest, you rarely see failure.
Poor Polly. Everybody resents you
Why?
because of his pizza, his Baconator.
Baconator. It's Burger King. Paulie.
Oh, Simon don't have Wendy's? Well, you'll never
What?
understand what a Baconator is then, I guess.
No Wendy's? You better move, dude. Screw Ireland. Just kidding. All right, so now we have two columns, and it's very interesting how the first column is the foundation, and once we get the name, from the name we extract the cause. And so the first column gives us the second column. It's like the steps, one column leads to the next. We can trace directly to the part of the self that was threatened. You got to remember, you became resentful because something threatened one of your social instincts. You remember when we went through the 3 social instincts? You have your social instinct, you have your security instinct, and you have your sexual instinct. And then you have ambitions. One of those 4 are threatened in some way by that person, and that is going to be the cause. And the second column gives us the third column. And once we know which instinct felt threatened, then we can look at the real information we need, and that is the exact nature of our resentment, because that's what we're getting to. Remember, we're asking 5 whys, and this column is basically a 5 why. This is basically a continual process improvement sheet. From what I've been taught, this is leading you down a path of finding the root cause of the problem. And that is the exact nature of our wrongs. And it's hard to do when you're actually looking in the mirror and you're talking about yourself, and you're talking about somebody that has hurt you, somebody that you've been mulling over, you've given your power over to as they take control of your mind, and you can constantly think about what they did to you, and have to see the part you were played in that, your wrongs in that resentment, your wrongs in that relationship, whether it be a person, a place, or a thing. So we will be able to see, so as we go through this, we are going to be able to see what we have done and how we have been involved, what part of our character, what character defect. Oh, we didn't do our inventory. That's what we didn't do.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Just like pushed it away. No.
Mine was too high today. Yeah, we're going to get to that for sure, because it leads to self-resentment for sure. All right, where was I? So what part of the character defect was associated with a particular resentment? And this has us go to the appendix 3 in this book, which is called Self-Pity. And we're going to read just a little bit of that, because this character defect has a lot to do with resentment. So if you're following along in the book, we're going to turn to page 161. And we're going to read the first 3 paragraphs. And then your homework assignment, if you have this book, is to finish the next 2 pages on self-pity, because it's going to talk about self-pity. I'm going to give us the definition, and that's all we're going to look at. But then it's going to give you the constructive use of self-pity, the destructive use of self-pity. Self-pity relates to self-centeredness, and then monitoring the instinct in step 10. Because our character defects, we got to monitor this stuff. So once a self-centered person is offended by another self-centered individual, then resents his own position in life. Let me read that again. Once a self-centered person is offended by another, the self-centered individual then resents his own position in life. And this is what Jump Doggy was talking about. This is self-resentment or self-pity. Resentment at self, along with resentment against others, is a major emotional problem, is one of the most destructive emotional bad habits a person can have. Resentment against self is almost always associated with resentment towards others. As soon as the person is offended and acts with resentment towards others, he automatically directs that same deadly poison to himself. This emotional bad habit can only lead to unhappiness and failure. The individual who persists in the overuse of self-pity sees everyone else as a success and himself or herself as a failure. As a result, He constantly resents his position in life and feels put upon by all others. The intensity of self-pity makes the individual's positive qualities, his assets, and his intellectual abilities, such as a person's goals, becomes fantasies upon which he builds his life. The combination of these two, self-pity and fantasizing, then produces a state of non-activity and failure. You see? We got to get to the root cause because it's self-destructing. What?
They're just making fun of each other.
What is Jeffrey saying?
Jeffrey is on. He starts up here.
What is he? Just give me it in a nutshell.
He's working step 1.
I have 3 pages, but I haven't gotten off the first question. I'm doing something different and really a really big look at how I was before I got clean and up until today. Good. That's working an honest, hard. Good job, Jeffrey. Don't give up.
Oh, yeah. And then John. John has a question.
What can I do if I get tempted to drink again by someone from my family? Well, John, we'll jump off topic here just for a second, and then we'll spend about a couple minutes on this, and then we're going to look at Cassie's quote of the day. But John, there's a thing called closing your back doors. Your family should know, everybody around you, your family, your doctors, your work, your friends down the street, your neighbors, anybody that you've associated with should know, hey, I'm in sobriety now, and could you please respect my decision? If there's alcohol, if you're going to have a party, if you're going to have a barbecue with alcohol, I love y'all, but I'm not going to be able to attend. There's 3 places you don't need to be. You know, there's 3 levels of places you don't need to be. There's high-risk places. You can scale it from 1 to 4, and that's the high side of things, right? 1 to 4, you have no freaking business being there. And then from 4 to 7, maybe it's a situation you have to go to because you're at work and you might be around it. You have to walk down or whatever. Work might take you there. If you are in those situations, say you get maybe in this question here, you're in the 4 to 7 range, you better have a plan. You better have your phone in your pocket with your sponsor on speed dial. You better be having an exit door. You need to have a serious plan. And then there's, 7 through 10, which is where we live in a world where we're going to be around the crap. It's time to pull up our big kid panties and face the world and have some self-discipline. But there's the high risk situation you have no business being. You don't go to party. If you're under a year clean, you do not need to be going to a bar for a wedding. You don't need to be going to the dope house to say hi to Johnny, who is the roommate of the dope dealer. You don't need to be going to a barbecue where, half the place is taking shots. Stay away from that. But then there's some situations you have to be in that's high risk, but you need a plan. You need to tell somebody, hey, I'm going here because of this and that. Can I count on you? Will you call and check on me every 30 minutes? Take it seriously. And if your family's tempting you, draw a line and a boundary. If they're coming over purposely tempting you, you draw a line and a boundary and you lock the door. I don't know what kind of situation you're exactly talking about, but you take it seriously and you let people know where you stand. Hey, that crap ruined my life and I'm not going to let it kill me. Go to the cat house for a kiss? Yeah, no. So I don't know if that answered your question or not. I'm slowly going through my steps so I can find more and more peace in turmoil. I always rushed through my first step, so by not thoroughly doing my first step and really paying attention to the way, yeah, I'm kind of realizing that now as we're digging into this book. I want to go back and kind of redo my step 4. I want to redo them all, but I didn't really quite, now that I'm understanding step 4, didn't really quite understand it. But on that, let's check out Cassie's quote of the day.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back. I'm here with your motivational quote on recovering addicts. The way I see it, if you want rainbows, you got to put up with the rain. Dolly Parton. As always, you guys know what to do. Come on. Let's continue to spread that love.
Jolene,
thanks, Cassie.
Jolene. I love Dolly Parton.
Yeah, Dolly's Dolly's awesome. Right there. Click on Chad. He says, Jordan Peterson said to always surround yourself with people who want the best for you.
I love Jordan Peterson. And his accent gives him, his IQ an extra 5 points. In other words, I do not go to the bar to watch the Super Bowl. I went there to get drunk. I went to Super Bowl. I don't even watch football, but I went to every Super Bowl party, you betcha. And just to get smashed. That was it. Any time was a good occasion for me to get smashed. I didn't care. And it came to the point I didn't need an excuse. So after my son's accident in 2017, I didn't care. I was drinking as much as I could every night and still trying to make it to work, still trying to be a husband, I was just drinking, man. I was this recluse. I was committing suicide by alcohol the last 2 years of my drinking. It was insane how much I was drinking. Can be quite dark. How's it dark? Oh, my back.
And he sounds like Kermit the Frog. Where's Linky? Link's got a
and you got to go
Kermit
down
the
to the
Frog
thing here.
inspiration.
And you got to say that sometimes you just got to put things in the past. And resentments is one of those things we must do in the past. And you need to surround yourself by good people.
He does sound like Kermit the Frog. I never thought about that. Oh, my God. Is that a good Jordan Peterson impression, guys? I feel like I did a good job.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know who he is.
So the way I pay attention surely will stay clean and just surrender and realize that I'm powerless over people, places, and things. And remember, I will be unmanageable if I do use it. Absolutely. There's no other. How many times do we have to prove it to ourselves and to others that drinking and doing drugs are going to make our lives unmanageable and take us to the insanity side of things?
Hard hole. You got an A for effort.
Hey, thank you.
That was Miss Doubtfire.
I used to be one. That was Miss Doubtfire.
Oh,
that's
my
good
sweeties.
Oh, my sweeties.
I got Patsy Cline fan. You're related to Patsy Cline?
What? We met her daughter.
We met her daughter
in Nashville. We went to the Patsy Cline Museum in Nashville and met her daughter. I got pictures. We got a mug too.
Yeah, she was telling us all kinds of stories.
Yeah, we sat and talked to her for a little
I
while.
love Patsy Cline.
Me too. What's that sober dude saying?
Sober dude.
That's that sober dude? I have not seen one friend. Yeah, since getting sober. Plus, I live far away from all real true friends. That's true. You find out who your true friends are. And if your true friends are still drinking, they understand where you're at and they're not going to invite you over because they want to drink and they don't want to harm you. But then there's those other friends, right, with the quotes around it, who you now make feel guilty for their lifestyle and they don't want you around. So you find a new sober family. And honestly, the open, honest, refreshing friends that I'm finding post alcohol are much better. Like my friend Diana and Whitney and Rob and Steve V and everybody that I've met in my IOPs and the NA programs, the AA programs, to walk into a room that's just full of fresh, honest, open conversation. And it's just so refreshing, man. And everybody's just so positive and there to help each other and love each other. And just everybody in these comments, everybody in our Facebook group.
Start drinking a cold glass of water.
I'm pretty sure Crazy is the song I sang for karaoke.
Crazy for feeling
Because
so
LT didn't think I would.
You guys want to see a funny video?
Sober.
All right, let me finish this chapter and I'm going to show you a video of Felice and I in Nashville and her singing Crazy at karaoke. So stay tuned, but let's stay on recovery, okay? You guys are getting me all distracted.
Don't get distracted.
Getting me all distracted, but tonight I can stay up a little later. So once we finish our core recovery hour and we get through this step 4, we finish this chapter, I will show you a video of Fleece singing karaoke. Crazy. And that way I'll do it at the end so I can chop it out.
Blown away. They said hi, Linky.
All right. So we're talking about the columns. So I'm going to bust this out so that everybody can kind of see exactly what we're talking about. All right. Here's the columns. Let's talk through these columns real quick. Now, if you want to grab a screenshot of this, go for it. But you can also Google it. But if you notice the first column, it says people, institutions, and principles whom I resent. That gives us 3 examples here. And let's read through these. You got your sister, you got courts and jails. So that's the first thing you do. Be like, my sister. Stupid courts and jails. My husband or my wife or whatever. Now you go to the next column. What was the cause of it? With my sister, I fought a lot and I didn't feel supported or loved. With the courts, them jerks, they treated me poorly. I'm innocent, man. Those cops treated me worse than they did the other guy. I was incarcerated unfairly. And then your spouse, they ditched out on me, and I needed support. I needed help. That bastards, So you have resentment for those people, places, or things because of that. And now what did this affect? So now you have to get down into your natural instincts as a human being. What was affected? And with the sister, it was self-esteem and pride and emotional security and a personal relationship. With the courts and jails, it was your self-esteem and your pride. Now you got to tell people at work what happened, and your emotional security, you're in jail, your finances, because now you have to pay fines and stuff. And then your ambitions, like, screw it, I got a felony on my record, I can't get a job. And then your personal relationships, now maybe people look down on you because of the courts and jails. So that's what it affected. With your spouse, it affected your self-esteem, your pride, your emotional security, your finances, your sexual relationships. And so what character defects? You're looking for selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, and fear. So with the sister, you'll see that it's selfish and dishonest and self-seeking and fear. With the courts and jail, it was selfish and fear. These are the character defects that were in act. So selfish, dishonest, and self-seeking for the spouse. Now here is the exact nature of the wrong. What action or behavior of mine caused that harm? And this is where I'm going to tie this into my last question that I talked about. So my sister, you caused, in this example, caused her worry with my using, lied about my using, never let her emotionally in, and only cared about my own desires. So that's why you guys fought. And so your resentment towards your sister was, this is your part in it. And so now with jails, it's broke the law. You didn't want to pay the consequences, and then fear facing consequences of your behavior. And then with the spouse, you lied to the spouse about using, was completely selfish, caring only about your own needs and how you could fulfill them. So that's a good example of how to start filling out the columns on your step 4. Okay.
What up, James?
So James, what up, dog? There you guys, we got a superstar in the chat. Everybody say what's up to James.
What's up, James? Thanks, Merd.
Tony likes your shirt too.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay, so now I want to tie off a little bit because resentments here, it talks about can be good. So we have to kind of, there's like a balance thing here. So we found the root cause, right? That's that. If you just notice how that chart led us to the root cause, and you're looking for your faults in that. So it is not by chance we have resentment. Resentments, fear, and sex too are useful tools. Said without them, we wouldn't be completely human. In some situations, they are vitally necessary. And it's like in the Bible where it says there is a time for everything. That's in Ecclesiastes 3:1. It says at the right time, all things are necessary. For instance, we might say that competition and resentment are related. Often I accomplish something I wouldn't otherwise accomplish because of a feeling of resentment or competition with another person. A lot of the progress we have made has been because we are motivated by fear that somebody was getting ahead of us. And this is a cool little example. Some 30 years ago, people in the country woke up and discovered that the Soviet Union was ahead of us in the space race. They had a little thing going around the world, and well, out of a sense of resentment or fear or competition, the United States soon landed some guys on the moon. So we might still not have accomplished it without those feelings. So in a sense, so what we're doing here is not getting totally rid of anything of these resentments of fears and harms done to others. The big book says we are rearranging things into a proper perspective. We are going to adjust. We are going to put these things, these feelings in their proper places because they are sometimes useful to us when we use them properly. But we need to keep this in mind. As long as we are mentally replaying these resentments or fears or guilts of feelings or harms done to others, we are turning our lives over to others and allowing others to dominate us. which goes against the decision we made in step 3. We're turning our will and our lives over to God. But if we're living in resentment, we're turning our power over to others and allowing that resentment and that person to control our lives. We got to cut that. So we rearrange and prioritize our resentment. The work we do in step 4 enables us to begin to know and understand ourselves. And this is a continual process improvement. This is where we continue to practice this. The inventory is part of a study, a lifetime study of ourselves. When we know ourselves, we know where we are going and what we stand for and how we are going to be in any situation. Then if somebody says something we don't like or something that might have hurt our feelings before, it's not going to now, because we know ourselves and we're not as vulnerable as we used to be. You dig? So make sure you're doing a thorough step 4 so that you can see the truth. And the truth is your character defects. Insanity is the inability to see the truth. Sanity is the ability to see the truth. And inventory is a tool to enable us to see the truth. And the truth will set us free. But this is what was on my mind when I was going through this. So that's the end of that chapter. What about the resentments you have? So obviously in that sister example that we looked in the column, our using affected the sister's relationship, and that led us to resent the sister in a fight, but ultimately it was kind of our fault. You know what I'm saying? But what about resentments that were done to you as a child that you had no part in? Resentments, maybe you were molested by somebody. Maybe you were abused and beat, physically beat up by, or maybe you were freaking robbed. Maybe you were a teenager and you got jumped in the streets and were robbed. What about those kind of resentments? And that was what was kind of troubling me as I went through this, because, man, there are some of those resentments. So I'm going to read you this little paragraph, and then that will be that. So while all resentments are harmful to people in recovery, not all resentments are groundless. During the process of identifying and finding my part in my own resentments, I discovered that some of my resentments were well-deserved. Some of the events precipitating these resentments had happened during my childhood at the hands of my parents or other adults. Some of them had happened in my own adult life, but were true betrayals of trust that I played no part in. So what does one do with a justifiable resentment? That's what was kind of troubling me as I was reading through this step 4. I'm like, what about those ones? I'm not going to be able to find fault on my part there. So as counterintuitive as it might sound, the only cure for such resentment is to forgive the offender. You got to forgive them. If you don't forgive them, they continue to control you, hindering the decision you made in step 3. Forgiving someone who has wronged me doesn't justify that person's actions, okay? You forgive that person, it doesn't justify what they did. They're going to have to face God on their own terms one day. And it does not excuse their behavior. In fact, the people whom we forgive don't even know that we forgive them, because we're not going to call and tell them, hey, guess what? I forgive you for that. Let's let bygones be bygones. This person says, I didn't find forgiveness in my heart for the benefit. I found the forgiveness for my own sake. My resentments were eating me alive. The anger and the grief I felt over these resentments was standing in the way of my recovery. So I had to make a choice, either let go of my anger or let go of my sobriety. I chose to let go of my anger. Instead of holding a grudge against people who betrayed me, I allowed myself to learn from those experiences and forgive those transgressors who in their own way were sick and suffering as well. Instead of holding my anger in my heart, I made a choice to practice empathy and understanding by forgiving the people who harmed me. I freed myself from anger and resentment, and that is not a sign of weakness to forgive somebody. It's actually a sign of strength. Today, I try to live, this person says, and I'll link this article in the chat here in just a second, but it says, today, I try to live my best life without resentment and anger. I've learned how to recognize my own negative thought patterns that lead to resentment. I've learned that no one can make me feel bad without my permission. I love that. You can't make me feel bad. If you say something that makes me feel bad, it's because I've decided to let you offend me. I've learned that no one can make me feel bad without my permission. I've learned that while I don't have a choice about whether or not someone treats me poorly, I do have control over my expectations and the way I react to situations. I've learned that my trust is a gift that I can choose to give to whomever I choose. I learned that if I expect forgiveness and compassion, I have to show forgiveness and compassion. I learned that anger and resentment are the poison to sober life. Most importantly, I've learned to not sweat the small stuff. That is good. I'm going to put that in the description. And that's just like the last two little chunks of that article. But good stuff nonetheless.
That hits the nail right on the head for all of those people who are currently living with an addict. Because that's usually where your resentment lies, is towards that person. And the only way to get past it is forgiveness. For sure.
Thank you, Chad. That last quote of the chapter: insanity is inability to see the truth. Sanity is the ability to see the truth. Inventory is a tool to enable us to the truth, and the truth will set you free. Thank you, sober dude. Appreciate that. It's talking about great recovery, and like, I don't want to waste your time, and I know you don't want to waste your time and go back to using, and I know you don't want to let other people down. So let's take this seriously. And I mean, this is step 4, so I wanted to kind of hit it hard and bring it home with that. Sober dude's out? I guess so. All right, later, sober dude. Have a good night, brother. I'll be checking your channel out later. Choosing one's emotions extremely powerful. That's a great point.
So, Simon, you don't think your ex would ever read this article?
What?
Simon?
My ex will never read it. Oh, yeah. Simon's you know how you were able to see the addict and separate me from my who I was in my addiction. Simon's not blessed in that sense with her. She hasn't had an epiphany, an eye opener yet.
It's hard because
I'm glad, Emily.
You get very hurt because, like it says, is you all of a sudden are getting yelled at and you don't have a clue why, or you're in trouble and you don't know why, and all these things happen, and it is very, very hard to let go of those resentments, and it will probably take her a lot of time. I don't know if I would have let go of those resentments if I didn't have Maritza or God, honestly, and Jesus in my heart. I think it maybe would have taken me longer to let go of those. But because of all the Bible study and the emphasis heavily on forgiveness, because Jesus died for me and I'm a sinner, and he's forgiven me, then I should therefore forgive other people. And that was the key for me to get past my resentments. But I don't know where your wife is in all of that.
Top chat and all that is when you're monetized, bro. I can't do that yet on my channel. I'm just still a wee little baby. Thanks to James, I wouldn't be where I am today. So everybody give James a big shout out for me. And how awesome he was to take me under his YouTube parental guidance, under his wing. And also I look up to him as a fellow sober friend who has those years of sobriety. And when I listen to his channel, he says some stuff that I haven't been seeing from the right angle and gets me into a better spot mentally, for sure. Thank you, James. She will never separate the addict from the person. Oh, that's a bummer.
Well, don't say never.
Yeah, where the heck is Cody?
You never know. Something can happen. She could change.
Okay, y'all.
But you're not responsible for her.
You talk. I'm gonna find this. I'm gonna find this video of Felice singing "Crazy."
That was fun.
Or maybe we don't. Oh yeah, we do. Okay, hold on. Give me a second here. Go for it. It's all you.
Go for it. I get it from her side, but I can't keep being blamed for everything now. Still is my fault. Yeah, and like I said, that's not on you to make her have to see it. I mean, obviously, you can plant the seeds and lead her in the right direction, and if she chooses to read it or contemplate it, but I'm sure that she has a very thick wall around her heart because she is probably terrified to be hurt again. And that just takes patience to maybe eventually be able to break through that barrier if you can ever. Who knows? It's up to her to let down her guard again. And she may or may not. But you can only keep doing you. And it sounds like you're doing a great job, Simon. You're working your recovery. You're doing what you have to do, being responsible, and the rest is up to her. Yeah, Simon, it's tough. Addicts don't understand non-addicts, and non-addicts don't understand addicts without work. That's true. Because I think I used to tell LT this all the time. I'm like, I can't understand something I've never experienced. I can only take your word for it. And so I would do my best to see it from his perspective. Even though I hadn't experienced what he was going through, did my best.
The Tindernet.
Tindernet.
That's awesome. All right, y'all.
You know what to do.
You know what to do.
What do we do?
Stay strong, work your program, and remember, we recover better together.